Okay, hi guys. My final project is on creating assessments for sight singing and ear training students in the music recording and technology area. And I teach at Salt Lake Community College, and so it's a course that I have taught, but I was actually excited to kind of go through it and look at the assessment of what I've been doing and be able to refine it some different ways and just make sure I'm on the right track. So hopefully I can come up with some good ideas and get your feedback, and this has been a good exercise for me for sure. So I just want to kind of start with some ideas that I came across when researching this, and some quotes and things over the semester that we have talked about. But I found a person who has studied this quite a bit, Robert Rollins, and he talks about ear training itself, and he is at the University of New Jersey at Rowan University. And he wrote an article titled Sight Singing for Instrumentalists, and in it he talked about how musicians have a technical facility and playing ability, but they lack ear training skills. So in the 2005 article, Rollins states that the untrained ear may have a general idea of what a passage will sound like based on shape, contour, and register, but a vague preconception is simply not enough. So guessing will only get you so far as a musician. And our friend Ed Gordon said proficient musicians predict what will happen in the music before it occurs. And I think we know that as musicians. So I think the musicians that I encounter are very good musicians, but they just need to know how to put it all together. So my target population are freshman music majors, and those are defined as music recording technology. They could be media music majors, music performance, or general music. I also have people who are just interested in music that are in the class who just want to know more about music. And so they're welcome to take the class as well. All right, the desired outcomes. This is a 16-week sight singing course and ear training taught to music majors, many of whom do not read or write music very well or are not proficient, but they engage in music composition using a MIDI or a digital audio workstation, or a DAW is their primary instrument. So they may play piano or guitar or sing, but the main instrument they use is the DAW for composition. And so they're basically digital music creators. Some are, some aren't. It's a real big mix, and some don't do anything. So it's kind of a fun conglomeration. All right, so many students wonder why they need a course in music theory and music ear training, especially in sight singing. And so we let them know that music has a common language, and if they expect to make it in the music recording technology profession and to work in the industry, they're going to be working with studio musicians from all backgrounds, and it helps with the interaction. And so the outcomes for this course is to give these students basic musicianship skills that they're going to need in their profession. All right, assessment methods and procedures. All right, so earlier this semester I presented a chapter from the Oxford Handbook of Assessment Policy and Practice in Music Education by Frederick Burke, and he states that music students learn best when they are engaged in musical problem solving. And Burke also said that music assessment is integrated into instruction when it is that students learn better. And so I'm a huge proponent of that and of active learning. And so I like to make the sight singing activities and anything we do in class an active learning activity. I'm a huge proponent of it. I use it in sight singing, rhythm, dictation. I use it in theory, my music history classes, everything. So I definitely prefer chaos over crickets. So active learning creates a low stakes assessment setting and allows the instructor to formatively assess students. So dictation quizzes are one example I use active learning. So the dictation quizzes are on rhythm, melody, harmony, just depending on the unit. So in this course there are 8 dictation quizzes, and the first 3 or 4 are pretty much done as activities. So they transition into having students work more individually as we progress through the course. So it really depends on the makeup of the group and how proficient they are at note reading and oral skills. The first semester that I taught, I had a lot of singers in the course and music majors, and so the class just seemed to be more proficient at reading. And other semesters I've had just a different mix, and students really struggled with reading music. So it just kind of depends on the dynamic of the class and where it goes. All right, so the reason for our dictation as activities is that many students have never transcribed music. Many of them want to, they just haven't quite figured out how to do it, or they get frustrated by it. So they probably have really good ears and they're good musicians, but they just don't have the skills yet. So we're there to build those. So assessment methods and procedures. So Rollins from before states that the untrained ear may have a general idea of what a passage will sound like based on its shape, but vague preconception is not enough. So if these students want to succeed in the professional world, they're going to need more to learn how to use their ear and the musical concepts that go along with reading and writing music. So playing by ear is only going to get you so far. All right, so with the strategy I've come up with to build confidence for these non-confident, heavy play-by-ear, new to transcribing musicians is a twist on the pair share, or sometimes it's called turn and talk, but I've added the quick compare idea. So I call it the 30-second pair share quick compare. And so this is with our dictation quizzes. After I play a line of dictation, I let the students turn and talk or pair and share for 30 seconds or so, and just compare notes literally with each other, and just to see how they're getting the material and to build confidence. And usually at first they're kind of surprised that I let them do this. Some of them are totally lost, some get it right off the bat, and I give them the option if they want to share or not. So some of them are just fine, and they don't double check with their neighbor. And so I just find this helps wean them off of wanting to hear the line over and over and over. And so this allows me just to kind of see how they're doing as a class and what the dynamic is. I do gather their quizzes up at the end just to see how they do overall, and I'm always surprised that by the end that they didn't do perfectly, that some students actually did quite poorly, even though they had the other classmates to pull them along. So I guess I would always expect them to do way better when they have the answers right in front of them. So I guess it works and it doesn't work. So another way of assessing students are the sight singing checkpoints. These are one-on-one with the instructor. So we have 3 during the course, and they are a summative assessment where students prepare either 1 to 3 melodies, just depending on where we are in the course, and they do that ahead of time. They work out the solfege, and then they come sing it for me, and then I will ask them to sing another melody at sight, which is not graded. The one that they prepare is graded, and I'll show a little more of that later. So measures of achievement are the class meets 50 minutes twice a week, and we have formative assessments via the activities in class with ear training and sight singing, and summative assessments with homework, tests, and dictation quizzes, excuse me, and the final exam. So anticipated results, this may seem obvious, but I have students who want to be music majors with little or no music experience. So this is what I'm basing my anticipated results on, that students with prior music knowledge tend to do better than those with no music knowledge. Students who stay current with the homework tend to do better on dictation, and those who attend class regularly tend to understand the material better than those who do not attend regularly. Okay, a list of resources. The main book we have is Music for Ear Training. So it's a workbook with homework assignments, and it has sound files that students listen to, and they fill in answer sheets. And so they basically listen and write in the answer. The Music for Sight Singing book is basically just a book of melodies with duets and part singing. There are no instructions really as the book goes through, and I found it kind of frustrating at first because it was just pure sing and so it seems like the pedagogy is lacking a little bit in the sight singing world, but once you kind of work with it, you get a feel for how to use it. Online resources that we use, there is a website with the book, musictheory.net, Smart Music, Note Flight, Tone Savvy, one or all of these, just whatever we can find that would be complementary to the class and our situation at the time. So the progression of the course, I just have I'm going to just kind of go past each week just with a few examples of assessments that I've done in class, just to kind of show ways that I'm able to kind of gauge how the students are doing and ways that I can track progress. So each week there's a homework assignment that students do on their own time, and then each week we have some kind of a assessment, whether it's a class activity, a test, dictation quiz, something along those lines. So week 1 is an overview of the course, talk about sight singing, and introduce the solfege, the do, re, mi. We do use the hand signs somewhat. I have a love-hate relationship with the kudai hand signs. I did not learn them when I learned solfege, so I am not totally comfortable with them. I did learn the do, re, mi, and so I'm much more comfortable with that. So we use them a little bit, but they kind of go away once you get into sight singing 3 and 4. So I have mixed feelings, I guess I have to say, as far as those are concerned. So anyway, so in week 2, we progressed to seconds and thirds, which we're sticking right along the scale, very basic stuff, major, minor, seconds and thirds. And so an assessment that we would do with this is just to kind of reinforce this. The students have a given note, and then I would play a note, and then they would be responsible for writing in the note that they hear, and then also writing the quality of the interval and then the distance. And so the way I score it is I give them a point for the note that they write, and whether they tell me if it's a major second and whether they tell me it's a third or a second. So the scoring over here on the right is telling me whether it's the correct distance and the correct quality. And so I just don't mark the whole thing wrong. I'll give them credit for all the different parts that are there. That way they know what parts they got right and what parts they got wrong, especially in the early parts. And so this kind of assessment would be one where we could also do a pair share if I thought it was necessary, and just to see how they're doing with it as well. Okay, so week 3, we're into fourths and fifths already. Perfect augmented fourths, diminished fifths, and perfect fifths. So kind of the same idea. Dictation quiz similar to week 2, covers perfect fourths, augmented fourths, and perfect fifths. Same idea. Week 4, we're already in the 6th and 7th, and so I just noticed students really struggle with major and minor 6th in particular. So I have an activity to have them sing the solfege, and here's where they do use the kudai hand signs for the pitch as well. We use the hand signs in this respect to have them kind of signal each other as far as what the pitch is. So I would put the class in the teams of 3 or 4 and have one student at the board, and I would play either major or minor 6th or 7th, and I wouldn't tell them what it is. And so the student at the board needs to write the quality of what they think it is, and then they can turn to their classmates who will use the hand sign. So if it's a major 6th, they would sign do to la, and they can't mouth the words or sing it or anything. And so they're just confirming what the interval is by using the kudai hand signs. So it's kind of I guess a solfege charades type of assessment. And that just kind of allows them to use the hand signs and just maybe have a little bit of reinforcement with these trickier intervals. For some reason, a major and minor 6 are the kickers They usually get major sevenths, sometimes minor sevenths, but so anyway, it just mixes it up a little bit more and makes it more interesting for them. Okay, week 5, we're starting into the major minor triads, mostly just to distinguish between the sound and sight singing, some passages outlining the tonic triad in major keys. And we're also starting into melodic dictation, and that just consists of thinking of music more linearly and putting notes together in a row. So we've sung melodic passages, but we haven't done any melodic dictation per se. And so an activity that we do is kind of a Gregorian chant style melody for students to notate. And so in this particular activity, students can manipulate glass beads from the dollar store on a preformed staff. And so they don't need to worry about rhythm or measures or anything. They don't need to worry about stemming and notes. They can just move the glass beads around as they are hearing the pitches go up and down. And they don't need to worry about note values. Their full concentration is on the pitch. And Gary Karpinski, who is at University of Massachusetts and a big-time oral skills author, refers to the 4 phases of taking dictation as hearing, memory, understanding, and notation. So this is a beginning into the hearing and understanding phase. So students can compare with their neighbor to see if what they are perceiving is the same thing. And so it gives you a chance to do all different kinds of melodies, and you can just keep the pitches nice and close together, have big leaps if you really want, or whatever. So it's kind of a nice, quiet activity too. So students seem to enjoy it. All right, so week 6 with the tonic triad and simple meters. So kind of progressing through the theory ideas and everything as well. So week 6 we are into sight singing checkpoint 1, and so this would be an example of a melody that the students would work out ahead of time with solfege, and then they would come and meet with me one-on-one and sing it, and if they want to do the hand signs, they can get a few extra points as well. And the rubric is on the right. Just a simple rubric of what they can expect as far as a score. And then I may hand them something similar to this as far as something they would sing at sight. And then this would also serve as a pretest for the next unit, so I can kind of gauge where students are and know how maybe we could start. And this will help me know if they're keeping track of do and just what their range is and their abilities and things too. So, all right, so week 6 we have a test as well. So this is probably something, a summative assessment. I'm just kind of seeing how they're doing overall because we're at the end of the first unit. And this is probably something I would just send home with them so they could Google the answer to their heart's content, just to see how they're doing with intervals, the distance, the qualities, writing them on the lines and spaces, getting the right accidentals, different things, kind of all those mechanics of music that sometimes they forget about if they're new to music reading and writing. Okay, so week 7, we're kind of moving into melodic and rhythmic dictation. More emphasis on dictation, especially with division of the beat, and we do a few fun things with rhythm cards as far as solfege, and so on these they have the do, re, mi, re, and they're just doing it in rhythm. And so this would be an activity where we could put students in small groups and they could practice the rhythms with solfege, and then have the groups perform for each other and everything too. So it just kind of mixes it up, gets us out of the book just a little bit, and we're not just singing the same old songs over and over and in the same way and the same routine and everything too. So kind of a fun activity that way. And then week 7 we would have a dictation quiz as we've done before. So a little bit of rhythm, a little bit of melody. So kind of the same routine there, same grading scheme. As far as the same thing with week 8, we're just kind of progressing through the material in the course itself. and then kind of progressing, adding on as far as melody and what we're doing with the material. Melodies are getting a little bit longer, a little bit more involved maybe with rhythm or time signatures. We're still only sticking with triple and quadruple simple time signatures and duple simple, so nothing too extensive. Week 9, we're hitting the tonic as far as singing. So weeks 9 and 10, we're just kind of sticking around that as far as content. And so these are all pretty straightforward as far as what the material is and as far as testing and everything. Week 9, we do have a larger type of test where it is melodic dictation, and I just am transitioning to where they will be more independent, and a higher stakes test where the point values are more, and so each note is going to be worth more, just to kind of see how they're doing individually. And we won't be sharing information as a class. I will be more curious how the students are doing on their own, unless they're totally bombing out. But hopefully by week 10 they're a little bit more confident than they were in weeks 1, 2, or 3. And so with the content, we'll get into division of the beat and a couple of activities we do to kind of emphasize that with strong and weak beats. Use lemmy sticks and focusing on strong and weak beats. Have one group do that, another group can clap the beat. One group can tap the rhythm, one group clap the beat. And I always have to talk about the evaluators, so they can let us know how they're doing and have a low stakes involvement. I always think that's a good strategy for students who maybe aren't as willing to participate. Gives them a chance to kind of sit back and decide when they want to be involved, and hopefully that gives them a chance to do that. So week 10, sight singing checkpoint 2, just kind of fly past these. Same kind of rubric. I just kind of increase the points a little bit, just because there's an additional singing portion of it. Same thing with week 11, we're adding the tonic, 4-part dictation, so that's increasing as well. So same idea with the chords and dictation, adding the 5 and 5/7 chord. Same thing, subdivision of the beat as well. And one of my favorite things, if you guys have not used rhythm cups, highly recommend it. It is a thing you purchase, but it's well worth the money. My students love it, and it's a great way to teach rhythm by rote, because some students will get it right away and some students will just follow along, and especially with subdivision of the beat, it's a great way just to learn what these patterns look like, because they're always the same. And you have cups and they get wild and they have all kinds of fun. So there's tons of exercises and fun activities and games that they can do. So I had to get to that and show you, and I can't tout that one enough. There's all these young kids on the website for Rhythm Cups that are totally leaving us in the dust, us adults, and so they're totally into it. So it's really fun. So that's something worth checking out. So weeks 14 and 15, we're almost done with the class, so we're just starting to get into the primary triads, and so we just barely start to get into that and learning kind of how they are and how they function. And we have sight singing checkpoint 3, and so with 3 prepared songs, but they're still just single line melodies, and with the same rubric of the 8 to 10 point range, just making sure they're prepared to sing, doing the correct solfege syllables by now, staying within the tonality the best they can, and really checking the rhythm at this point, because we're just about through the course, and hopefully they're staying on track with that. Okay, so I'm going to jump ahead. The final exam is online, and so it gives the students a chance to take it, and they upload a video of them singing a melody with solfege, and there are 4 melodies that they upload, and so it gives them a chance to get it as good as they can, and each song is worth 15 points, or each video, and then they have a rubric for that that is assessed of how they're doing, how well prepared they are, and staying within the tonality. So higher stakes, I just think just because they've had a chance to prepare it and upload it, and they can do as many takes as they want. And then also part of the final chord progressions, they can listen to a sound file and identify with multiple choice what that chord progression is, and then some intervals. So the final is graded automatically on Canvas as far as the intervals and the chord progressions. Otherwise, the sound files are graded manually by me. So anyway, I know I was kind of flying through the last part there, but it is pretty much the same as far as assessment, with the dictation quizzes, the sight singing checkpoints, and then we have the final exam on Canvas. So I look forward to seeing your guys' presentations, and I appreciate any input you guys have, and thanks for watching.